Constitution, end the Fed, end the wars, and bring our troops home. That's what we want. Lower taxes, bring our monetary system back. That's what we want. Sound dollar, end the Fed, 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 end the Fed. All right, first speaker for you right now is Brent Stafford, St. Charles GOP chairman and the caucus. Big round of applause for him.
How are we doing today? We're going to win Missouri for Ron Paul? Yeah. Well, my name's Brent Stafford, and in 2008, I was the chairman of the St. Charles County Caucus. We won that caucus in 2008. We knew the rules, we followed the rules, we had the majority at the caucus, and we won that caucus in 2008. You know, we won the caucus, but there were some Ron Paul supporters that were sore losers 4 years ago, and they did their best to keep us from being seated at the district and state conventions. But in the end, the state GOP found that there was no basis for their allegations and their challenges, and we were seated at the state convention, and we're going to do it again this time. The same people are still angry about what happened 4 years ago, and they're going to try to do everything they can to keep us from having success this time. But the people in this room today are not going to allow that to happen, are you? No! And that's where all of you come in. The only way for Ron Paul to win Missouri delegates is for every one of you to go to your caucuses. Are you going to go to your caucuses next week? And whether it's here in St. Charles County or some other county in Missouri, or one of the many township caucuses in St. Louis, you've got to go to your caucuses. The way you end up winning your delegates and winning these caucuses is you have to have the most people there for your candidate. And the best way to make that happen is for not only everyone here to go to their caucuses, but to take someone with you. Do not go to your caucuses alone. By not going alone, you double or triple or more the impact of Ron Paul supporters at these caucuses. You've got to get there early. They have tight, strict deadlines. They will close the doors and not let anyone else in. Do not go to your caucus 5 minutes, 10 minutes before it starts. Get there an hour or more early. Get to your caucuses early. Do not be late. If you don't know where your caucus is, we've got your contact information. We're going to try to get it to you, or you can look on the state GOP website to find out where your caucus is, know where it is. Go to your caucus. Are you going to go to your caucus? Yeah! Are you going to your caucus? Yeah! Are you going to take people with you to your caucus? Yeah! Are we going to win Missouri for Ron Paul? Yeah! Missouri is the largest caucus state in the country. Missouri sends over 50 delegates to the national convention. Let's make national news. Let's make Missouri front page story. Let's take Missouri for Ron Paul. Are we going to take Missouri for Ron Paul? Yeah! Are we going to win Missouri for Ron Paul? Go to your caucus. Do not go alone. We will win Missouri for Ron Paul.
Brent Stafford, everyone. Well, we have one more speaker before the man of the hour. The man I have to call a dear friend and a distant cousin of mine. He is representing the 105th district in the state of Missouri. State Representative Paul Kirkman.
Thank you very much. It is an honor, it's a privilege for me to be able to be here today. This is actually the second event for Congressman Paul that I've been able to come to and speak at, where I've had the honor and privilege of seeing him there also. And I can tell you, as a state representative, I'm a freshman representative in Jefferson City. And
we love you.
Thank you. Save it. There's somebody else out here that will enjoy saying that too also. In Jefferson City, sometimes you see the way people operate in the legislature, and everybody, I think, a lot of times people have good intentions. They want to do the right thing, but far too often, instead of reaching for the principles of liberty to solve the ills of society, people are reaching for the answers that authoritarian philosophies and governments have to offer. And sometimes it comes at the ends of both parties. And what happens is we get taxed more, and government grows, we lose our freedom, we lose our liberty. But America is the first country in the history of the world where people not only volunteered, but people took up arms in order to protect and preserve the liberty of not just themselves, but their fellow man. That's what makes it. But unfortunately, sometimes, in a great country like ours, unfortunately, sometimes people begin to become a little bit distracted with the blessings that freedom has brought us. And we spend too much time focusing on the blessings. We spend too much time focusing just on the things that freedom has brought us, and we start partaking in different various forms of entertainment and pleasure, and people begin to not show up and vote, people begin to not stay informed and educated. But every now and then somebody comes along, and they begin to reflect and manifest principles in the spirit of freedom and liberty. And every now and then, in a time like our country is experiencing right now with overwhelming debt, multiple wars, the lack of constitutional accountability, sometimes somebody comes along and they know exactly what to do, they know exactly what to say, because they know exactly that it's the principles of freedom and liberty that have the answers for every single one of us. And that man, the person that we need in Missouri, the person that, thank God we have the opportunity, we have one more chance, maybe just one, who knows? But we've got somebody like Congressman Paul, who for years has been consistent in this message.
That's right.
Something that can't be said for the other candidates that are on the platform today. It's almost like we have the Foxes campaigning around the barnyard, campaigning to be elected guards to the hen house. But people that are on to the message of freedom and liberty are on to those same people, and we know that the person that we need in America right now is Congressman Ron Paul.
Sorted things out. And I will spend most of the time today talking about what I am for, and I think most of you know what I am for, and that is the reason you're here, but we like to keep talking about it and emphasizing it and enlarging the number of supporters that we have. And I think that's certainly been the case. The reception here in Kansas and Missouri has been fantastic and keeps growing, so I'm very pleased. Let me tell you what I am not representing. I am not the Goldman Sachs candidate. President Eisenhower warned us about the military-industrial complex, and I am not the candidate for the military-industrial complex. And I am not the first choice of Ben Bernanke or the Federal Reserve System.
Yay!
But I am certainly not the choice of those social and economic authoritarians who want to run our lives and run the economy. Very simply, I would like to be thought of as the candidate that is promoting the cause of liberty, and it's liberty that we need in this country, and that can be restored if we send only individuals to Washington who have actually read the Constitution, under the Constitution, and obey the Constitution. For too long, we have been very careless about our freedoms, and we've taken them for granted. And the result is that we're a poorer country, we have less freedom, and we're overly involved in overseas. Many, many great nations have done this in the past. It seems like it's almost habitual, and therefore we have to point out exactly where our problems are, why we are a poorer nation, why we have less freedom, why we are greatly in debt, why we continue to spend the money. Because one sure thing is there's no way that we can dump all this debt and all these problems on the next generation, because it's unfair, it's unsustainable, they can't pay the debt, and we have to take it upon ourselves to change the course of our history in this country. We were very, very prosperous. That's the one thing, is we had the freest country and the most prosperous country. We had the largest middle class and the wealthiest middle class ever. Today, the middle class is shrinking. The middle class is getting poorer. The poor are getting more numerous, and the rich are getting richer under this system. And therefore, we have to understand exactly how this came about. And one of the things I believe has happened is that because of our richness in this country and all the material wealth we have, as a consequence of our understanding about personal liberty and property rights and sound money, we concentrated on the material benefits and we forgot about where it was coming from. We forgot that you have to produce wealth to enjoy wealth. We forgot about the fundamentals of liberty. And you say, well, if they forgot 50 years ago, so why didn't we get poor? Well, it took a long time. We had so much wealth. But today, even the apparent wealth that we have in this country is based on debt. And it's a big difference now. Before it used to be based, we used to be a creditor nation. Now we owe more money than any other country ever has in the history of the world. And this is why we're in the midst of a financial crisis. And it is related to the understanding of what the role of government ought to be. The founders knew and understood that the role of the king was not what they wanted. And they knew what they wanted. They had a revolution. They wrote a constitution and warned us. If a people do not remain moral, they will not maintain their liberties. And today we are suffering the consequence of our loss of confidence in freedom, and now we are a poorer nation. So what we have to do is once again reinstill in the hearts and minds of the American people the love of liberty and the love of producing wealth again, and not the dependency on borrowing and spending and printing press money. This loss of understanding and confidence has led us into a financial crisis. Today, our deficit's running last month, February, our national debt went up $200 billion in 1 month. Broke all records, and that was a short month too. But the talk of the other candidates and people in Washington talk about, oh yeah, we're going to cut, and we have these automatic cuts when the Congress won't do it, and the super committee makes a super mess out of things, and they have these automatic cuts. But the automatic cuts, it's a farce. They said they're going to cut $1 trillion. Well, that sounds pretty good. It's a cut of $1 trillion over 10-year proposed increase of $10 trillion. So they're going to cut a $10 trillion increase in the spending, cut it by $1 trillion, and then want to get excited about it. That's cutting $100 billion a year. And the national debt going up between $100 and $200 billion every single month, it won't hack it. You know what will hack it? Is for us to have a new president that's willing to cut the budget by $1 trillion.
The good doctor! Just what the doctor ordered!
We need to invite businesses back in, encourage companies to come back in, which means that we need a new tax code. The best reform in the tax code would be repeal the 16th Amendment. The reduction of taxes would certainly help us in the reduction of regulations, but many companies go overseas because of the onerous regulations, and there's just too many laws. Unbelievably, on January 1st of this year, you know how many new laws were placed on the people of this country? 40,000 new laws. What I propose, if I am to be your president, cut 40,000 laws off the books and reduce them. In the last 10 years, over 56,000 businesses closed down. Our recession, our slump in the economy has been going on over 10 years. We had 132 million people employed 10 years ago. You know how many people we have employed right now? 132 million approximately. We have 30 million new people in the country, so you know why people are hurting. So when you hear the government statistics, be suspect. They tell you unemployment's not all that bad, it's 8%, which is pretty bad. You know, the truth is, if you measure it the way we used to, and by the free market economic system, we have it closer to a 20% unemployment rate. That is why we're hurting. But then we get chairman of the Federal Reserve Board got out and say, well, we do have inflation. We plan to have inflation. We want some inflation, but we're going to keep it at 2%. I'll tell you what, your inflation rate, the destruction of your currency, the cost of living is going up much faster than 2%. I just came in, I saw how much gasoline costs around here. It's pretty expensive. And the whole thing is if you live on Wall Street, you're making millions, if not billions of dollars. What do you care whether your gasoline's $3, $4, $5, or $6? It's irrelevant. But what does it mean if you're living on the margin? What if it means that you barely have enough money at the end of the month? What if it means you have debt? This is a big increase. What if you're on a fixed income? What if you're on Social Security? Your cost of living is going up a lot faster than 2%. And that is preventable because that isn't prices going up, is as a consequence of the value of your dollar going down. And that's why we have to look at the monetary system and find out what to do about it. Decided that they would embark on big government. They did two things in 1913 under the Progressive Era of Woodrow Wilson. They gave us, the Federal Reserve System, and that of course violated the Constitution because they had a major debate of the monetary issue, and they said there will be no authority for a central bank, there will be no authority to print money, and there will only be one legal tender, and that would be gold and silver. So the Federal Reserve System is totally unconstitutional, but it did usher in this age of big spending. Because if you can't tax enough and you can't borrow enough, then they resort to printing, and that is the source of the gross distortions that can last for a long time, but it finally hits a dead wall, and that is where we are today. We're 5 years into this recession. But actually, the standard of living has been going down a lot longer. These last 10 years have not been good. We are not producing jobs. If you say, well, tell the people to save money, sure, save money.